boss looks to Essel. Jin seizes the opportunity, using all of his strength stat and his Dominator's touch to rip the Demon King in half before uppercutting him so hard he completely obliterates the demon's head, defeating the Demon Gate dungeon boss. Jinwoo completes the quest, obtaining Baran's soul along with the Demon Monarch's ring, the Demon King's longsword, 2 daggers, Baran's horns, and purified blood of the Demon King. With the Demon Monarch's ring, Jin unlocks all of the set effects, granting him plus 15 to all stats. Finally, Jin has all 3 ingredients for the holy water of life, so he begins crafting. This is when he learns that the success rate and number of items crafted depend on his intelligence stat, as he says that if he knew this, he would have spent all of his stats on the intelligence stat beforehand. Despite this, Jin's craft is successful, and he produces 6 bottles of holy water of life. In this moment, Iron drags the wyvern's body to Jin as he compliments the shadow for being quick-witted. Jin says the word arise, extracting the winged shadow. However, unable to recall the wyvern's name, he names the shadow Kaisel. Jin also collects the shadow exchange runestone from the quest, which allows him to exchange locations with any of his shadows. Jin tells Essel she'll have to return to her clan herself as it's too far to get rewarded, and exchanges locations with one of his watchmen in the neighborhood. And this arc continues. Follow for more. After Jin exchanges places with his shadow soldier in the neighborhood, he summons Kaisel and flies to the hospital to see his mother. Once he arrives, Jin feeds her the holy water of life. Her color returns, but she doesn't wake up immediately, so Jin waits by her bedside until she eventually wakes, asking how long she was asleep. Jin responds, 4 years, and his mother then asks about Jinna, and he reassures her that she is fine. She thanks him for keeping his promise to take care of her, and in this moment she grabs Jin's hand, saying, "It must have been difficult," and Jin cries, saying, "Yeah." The next morning, Jinna bursts into tears as she hugs her mother. Jin thinks that all of his efforts up to this moment were worth it. However, he can't help but wonder if he distanced himself too much, as a sense of uneasiness takes over. Jin checks his phone to a bunch of notifications and sees news about a monster flying in the night sky. He then receives a call from Chairman Go Gun-hee, who asks if he's heard the news. Confused, Jin apologizes, saying he'll be more careful next time. But the chairman didn't know what he was talking about, so Jin asks, "What's the matter?" explaining that he just came back from a place with no service. Go Gun-hee responds, "It seems you really haven't heard the news," and asks if they can meet. Chairman Go Gun-hee informs Jin that they are planning to go to Jeju Island to eliminate the ants once and for all. To do this, they will need Jin's help. But before Jin can answer, he suddenly feels a rush of magical energy. Gun-hee asks if something is wrong, and Jin responds that it's just some hunters fighting nearby. The chairman laughs, complimenting Jin on his sense, and explains that S-rank hunters are currently warming up in the gym for the Jeju raid in 4 days. He adds that Ryuji Goto and his Japanese S-rank hunters are there as well, and asks if Jin wants to check it out. Baek Yun-ho and Ma Dong-wook clash, with Master Ma effortlessly flipping Baek onto his back, yelling that Master Baek should be able to use more strength than that. Jinwoo notes that Baek Yun-ho is getting slightly pushed back when Choi Jong-in appears, saying that if Baek were to give it his all, Ma Dong-wook wouldn't stand a chance. Jin asks why he's not giving it his all, considering Dong-wook isn't an opponent he can slack off with. Choi explains that it's hard for someone to use their full strength when there are so many eyes around, especially since President Baek turns into a real monster when he fights. They look to the Japanese S-ranks as we are introduced to Ippei Izawa, Mari Ishida, Ken Tanaka, Minoru Hoshino, Atsushi Kumamoto, Kanai Tawata, Tatsumi Fujishima, Kei Akari Shimizu, and Ryuji Goto. Akari asks who that is up on the higher floor, and the translator informs her that it's Sung Jinwoo, the hunter who recently became an S-rank. Goto comments that he must be a splendid assassin class hunter, but the translator corrects him, saying Jinwoo is a mage class. Ishida points out Jinwoo to Kei, noting that he is Korea's 10th S-rank hunter. Kei responds, saying, "Don't talk to me. I might throw up. Kei wonders if it would seem like he's hitting on Cha Hai-in if he talks to her, revealing that he also has a sensitive nose. The translator condescendingly remarks, "These are the best hunters of South Korea. There's not much for us to see." Someone overhears this and questions, "South Korean hunters are lousy?" He then explains to the girl that he learned Japanese back in high school. She asks who he is, and we learn that this man is Park Jong-soo, A-rank guildmaster of the Knights Guild. She questions if he's joining the raid, and he replies that he's part part of the defense squad. The translator says, "That's a relief," and continues talking down to him as Goto tells her to stop causing trouble. Park Jong-soo adds, "What would a girl only here to work as a translator know?" She questions if he would like to check her skills for himself, introducing herself as Hanakawa, Japan's A-rank hunter. They agree to spar with the rule that the first to grab the other's wrist is the winner. She questions if he's ready to fight with that posture, and the guildmaster replies that he won't need to use his hand except to grab her wrist. She dashes at Jong-soo, releasing a flurry of attacks, but he easily dodges before surprising her by kicking her hand back. Hanakawa comments on his ripped pants before attacking again, but he catches her wrist, saying, "You're too slow, lady." He explains that her combat experience against humans seems non-existent, and unlike monsters, humans don't move in simple patterns. Goto then asks for a spar between the S-rank hunters under the same rules, and this arc continues. Follow for more. The S-rank hunters agree to spar, however, they exclude mage class and non-combatant hunters since they would be harder to judge. They also establish a rule that whoever can touch the opponent's back or knock them down will be considered the winner, and instead of 1v1, it's a group competition. Dongwook uses his gigantification power, and Kenzo gets excited at the idea of a simple battle of pure strength. They clash, trading blows as Minoru dashes at Lim Tae-gyu. The ranger responds by creating distance and firing magic arrows at the opposing team. Meanwhile, Gun-hee remarks that the training facility has been fortified with the greatest magic gems available, yet the S-ranks have already made quite a mess in just a few seconds. Atsushi, questioning why he should follow the rules, prepares to attack Baek Yoon-ho from behind. However, Baek notices and the S-rank dashes away, saying he got nervous again. Baek comments that he definitely felt bloodlust and wonders if Kumamoto is a genius in decision-making or just a wimp. He speculates that Goto might be using Kumamoto to test them and decides to get a little serious. This scares Kumamoto as Baek lunges at him with his claws, seemingly confirming that he's a big wimp. While Kumamoto scrambles to evade, Baek notices Dongwook as he gets slammed on the ground and Tae-gyu smashed against the wall. While Baek faces a 1v3 situation, Cha Hai-in holds her own against the other female S-rank. Her old nickname, the Dancer, is revealed, given for her nimble moves that resemble a dancer's as she quickly dispatches her opponent. Kanai tries to hit back, but Cha smacks the ground so hard she creates a smoke screen before touching Kanai's back. The dancer runs to help Baek Yoon-ho when Kumamoto appears behind her, thinking it's an easy win. But Cha turns around and spams him with fists, shocking the other hunters as they compare her to a Gatling gun. In this moment, Kumamoto goes berserk as the Japanese hunters explain that when he gets angry, he loses all reason and might even attack teammates. He smashes the ground, tripping Cha, but before he can stomp the dancer, Jinwoo appears catching his foot and telling the hunter that it's just a competition and there's no need for such bloodlust. Kumamoto gets angrier, grabbing at Jin, but Jin pins the mad hunter and tells Cha that it's best if they call it a loss for Korea since Baek Yoon-ho has been caught as well. At this moment, the translator tells Jin that Goto wants to spar one-on-one. Jinwoo says he can tell what the Japanese hunter wants just from his aura, thinking it's a good chance to see how much stronger he's gotten from the Demon Castle. Hanakawa tells Goto that Jin accepts his challenge, but only if he fights with his full strength. Goto agrees, noting they have an S-rank healer present, and instructs Shimizu to take care of the injured, saying, "And that one as well," as he points at Jin. Jin lowers his head and says, "Let's get started," but before he can finish, Goto attacks, leaving a trail of wind as Jin dodges, irritating the Japanese hunter, who says Jin can't fool him, and vows to reveal all of his secrets. Goto attacks more, but Jin effortlessly dodges while smiling, making Goto very angry. Goto thinks that if he doesn't use his full strength, he might lose, so he decides to kill Jin. The Shadow Monarch gets a cut on his cheek as the system alerts him to someone with immense bloodlust in the area. In this moment, Jin catches Goto's hand, thinking that if he plays around too much, he might get an emergency quest to kill the hunter. Goto says, "You think you can play around with me?" And Jin responds, "I'm not sure what you're saying, but the match would be over if I grabbed your wrist, and even you wouldn't want our match to end this way, right?" They both try to attack, but before they can, Cha Hai-in and Baek Yoon-ho catch Jin while Minoru stops Goto, and Kei creates an ice shield between them. They tell Jin that Goto has to lead the Japanese hunters in a few days, and it's Korea's responsibility if he gets injured here. They end the practice matches for the day. Jinwoo thinks that he went a little overboard, but realizes that even the S ranks couldn't detect his hidden soldiers in their shadows. He asks Gunhee about the Jeju raid as Hanakawa calls on Goto as he stands in shock, and Baek Yun-ho contemplates the value of a hunter like Jinwoo, who can continuously grow stronger. Realizing it would be fruitless to try recruiting Jin, he decides to move to Plan B. At this moment, he gets a notification for the participation list for the upcoming Jeju Island raid, and is shocked to find that Sung Jinwoo is not on the list. Meanwhile, Goto is on the phone with Reiji Sugimoto, the S-rank vice master of the Japanese Draw Sword Guild, telling him about a talented hunter in South Korea. Sugimoto laughs, saying, "But I'm sure they're still below you," and Goto responds, "I'm not too sure about that." Sugimoto asks for the hunter's name just as he gets the updated list of participants from South Korea as we see the names: Choi Jong-in, Ma Dong-wook, Baek Yun-ho, Cha Hai-in, Lim Tae-gyu, and the S-rank healer Min Byung-gu. This surprises Goto as he comments that unless the chairman is crazy, there's no way he would form the raid without Jinwoo. On Jeju Island, the queen communicates that the ants are eating each other since there is nothing left to eat, and they must leave the island. She tells an egged ant that they need an ultimate soldier to lead the empire and strike fear into their enemies. In this moment, the ant hatches screeching as it emits a terrible aura, and Jinwoo, his mother, and his sister Jin-ah return to their apartment. And Jin is not amused to see the mess his sister made while he was away. Their mother says it's been 4 years since she's had to do housework and asks if they would like to help. They begin cleaning, and Jin's mother asks if he's heard any news about his father during the time she was asleep. Jin replies, "No," and we learn that she doesn't want to move out of the old apartment because she hopes that Jin's father, who went missing, will one day find his way back. Later, while taking a walk, Jin gets a call from Jinho, who invites him to come check out the office he got for their guild. Jinho tells Jin that if they're creating a guild, they need an office, and asks Jin what he thinks. The soon-to-be guild master responds that it's a little too big for just the two of them, and Jinho explains that they need space for the guild master, vice guild master, and members. Jinho then remembers that a foreigner speaking English was looking for Jin and hands him a note, saying the person will be in South Korea until July 17th. This is when Jin gets a feeling and tells Jinho to wait a second while using shadow exchange as we see a man threatening a girl's life. The man says, "This is why I love this neighborhood." And in this moment, Jin says, "Right, I also love this neighborhood." Jin asks the man why he does these things, and he responds that if he had to give one reason, it's because it's so much fun as he lunges at Jin with the knife. The murderer explains that if he sees something weaker than him, he really wants to play with it. But before he can finish what he was saying, he gets nervous as his knife doesn't pierce Jin's skin, and Jin says that he knows that feeling as well, before taking the knife and cutting the guy up and attaching a high orc to the man's shadow, telling him if he doesn't turn himself in by midnight, he'll die. Tomorrow is the Jeju raid. A helicopter flies to Jeju Island, and Goto shivers while questioning if the feeling in that moment was death. Meanwhile, battleships surround the coast of the island while hunters wait aboard. Ma Dong-wook of the Fame Guild and Lim Tae-gyu of the Reaper Guild depart, while Tae-gyu angrily yells at someone over the phone for putting his movie star A-rank in a spot that could get attacked. It's revealed that hunters from various guilds were requested to prepare near the southern coast of Korea to prevent any surviving ants from attacking the mainland if the raid was successful. Each defense force is led by a B-rank hunter, supported by 3 C-rank hunters and more than 10 D-rank hunters, including retired hunters and those with failed reawakenings. As they fly to the island, a cameraman introduces himself, informing the S-rank hunters that the raid will be broadcast live on TV. Bai questions the chairman's decision to send a cameraman to such a dangerous place, and Dong-wook says it's their duty as hunters to protect people, but tells Mr. Cameraman to understand that his life is in his own hands. Mr. Cameraman responds that there's no need to worry because he still is an A-rank hunter and that hunting is his part-time job. He adds that this won't be his first time in a dangerous place, even though none of them can compare to the place they are going right now. Dong-wook tells the part-time hunter not to worry because the chairman wouldn't have allowed him to come if he wasn't certain the plan would succeed. He adds that this the first time, as well as the last time that normal people can watch an S-rank raid. On top of that, after the third failure, people have been wanting vengeance on Jeju Island. In this moment, Baek turns to Byung-gu and tells him that he's surprised he came, and the healer responds that it's because if he didn't, he knows that Baek would be the first one to die.